Once again, the Middle East has erupted. The perennial cycle of destruction and deathly retribution is again promising more corpses and more cripples to yet another generation. But here in the real world, a real tragedy is unfolding, with the growing number of people on either side of the conflict paying the ultimate price: cancellation for expressing their views. And it's had a chilling effect, this fear of being dogpiled by the legions of angry, overstimulated 19-year-olds with 2 thumbs and a smartphone, leaving many of us with no choice but to either shut up, or worse, become informed on a subject before mouthing off about it. All of which seems contrary to what our country is supposed to be about. Didn't a bunch of unlucky bastards already make the ultimate sacrifice? Paid with their flesh and blood so that each of us has the freedom to spout off on any subject, regardless of our ignorance? Shouldn't the same freedom of expression and freedom to choose sides that proud Americans had during the Burger Wars and the Cola Wars apply to this latest Middle East crisis? In this case, just as with the Burger Wars, both sides have beef. Each accuses their adversary of wanting or taking land that doesn't belong to them. And I submit that nowhere will you find a more worthless or more contentious plot of sand in the Middle East, having none of its oil and nearly all of its Jews. Naturally, there are supporters for both sides in what may seem to many as a chicken or the egg dispute, where who's right and who's wrong can't be determined. Unless you study history or can read a map. In 2023? Yeah, right. But I suppose you can't blame people today for not knowing the history of this stuff, which goes back to a time when whether or not you wore sandals wasn't a choice. Suffice it to say, at the root of this conflict is that neither side wants the other as a neighbor. And to that I say, can't they both be right? With their weird food, their weird music, and their even weirder clothes, you can see why they wouldn't want to be each other's neighbors. Who would? Logically, some might ask, why doesn't one of them just move away? Leave the neighborhood. If only it were that simple. But the reality is, one neighbor is nearly destitute and can't afford to go anywhere else. And the other is not welcome anywhere else. They've been kicked out of every neighborhood they've lived in, so neither side is going anywhere, leaving these neighbors in an intractable conflict, and the rest of us hopelessly forced to post comments on it. We have no choice. It's a dire situation, putting many on the left in a quandary wherein, regardless of whom you support, you're technically being anti-Semitic, which, perhaps traditionally understandable, is best not expressed aloud. However, support for the Hamas terrorists has been bravely professed by some on the left, including some of your more radical feminists, whose well-established, man-hating logic demands they only pledge support for men, providing they hate women. Even public intellectual Mia Khalifa has stepped up to courageously side with Hamas. And why wouldn't she? Who knows better what it's like to be vastly outnumbered while getting pounded day and night? The sad truth is, killing your neighbor is just not as easy as it once was. If I could kill my neighbors in the dead of night and get away with it, sure, I'd do it. Who wouldn't? No more petty disputes about who's putting excess trash in whose garbage cans. No more unprovable accusations about who's stolen their magazines and packages. No more complaining about what my kid did to their pets, because my neighbors' heads would be stuffed into paint cans and sent to a landfill. But in this age of social media and ring cameras and cloud storage, they're going to know who did it. And though it's worked in the past, the days of committing an atrocity, then blaming it on someone else are long since over, though we remember to honor them every September 11th. Thus we're stuck with the pending, long-simmering clash between feuding neighbors that promises untold carnage. Though one side is vastly superior in almost every military metric, there are some categories in which the opponents approach parity. We can expect Hamas to utilize the most recent in drones, while Israel will once again put its faith in its traditional drones, Jewish husbands. In the coming days, the fight for survival will be difficult, particularly for those brave people posting any opinion whatsoever on this hot and juicy subject. My advice is to take the only responsible and sober path. Keep your mouth shut until this is all over, then claim to have supported the winner all along. Live to post another day.
What to say about the Jews?
Because sometimes one's bravery is best expressed through cowardice. Yeah, I said it. And that's it. How'd you like it? We got through it without World War III starting. I hope you enjoyed it. I was afraid that the world might end before I got a chance to actually post this. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I was afraid it was all going to be over before I got this up there and got my licks in. But I was going to invite you to the after party. There's a link for it up there. I have to kind of hang around here for a little bit because I was hoping this video would be longer, and it's not. It's as long as it was. It was mercifully cut down. There was a lot of stuff in there that was funny, but just maybe wasn't worth the digging around in all the grim reality that is the Middle East conflict. But go to the after party. You can hear more of what an ignorant Gentile has to say about the whole matter. Someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight, as they say. It's kind of a slow jam, you know, the after party. We take things slower there. We stretch out. And, you know, I was hoping this would be 8 minutes. That's the point of this, is I've got another 2 minutes to kill here before I hit that 8-minute mark so that I can rock the algorithm and get my 25 views on this video that I spent 15 hours editing, more than 15. But you can hang with me here for a couple more minutes, a little preview of what's coming up at the after party. I'm going to talk a little more about killing my neighbors, a subject that has, you know, there's a lot there. I'm going to talk a little more about sandals, the footwear of troglodytes everywhere. And maybe a possible interview with one of the beheaded babies that we've heard so much about that first couple days, that story seems to have gone away, almost as if it never happened. What do I got, another minute? I gotta spend another minute with you guys chatting like this. I'm gonna turn this music off. It does get annoying after a while. Maybe I'll hit you with some guitar. I'm gonna play a little guitar now while I do this. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. That was a lot of work. This was a tough area to try to make jokes that wouldn't get me murdered by some fanatic on one side or the other. And hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Mostly what I enjoyed about it is getting it over with. I gotta be honest, it was a grind. Not because the subject matter isn't hilarious. It's just kind of old. You know, this thing's been going on for a couple millennia. And probably not a lot of fresh takes on the matter. But I did what I could for you. But I think I've met my 8-minute requirement for the algorithm that YouTube has, so I'm just going to move on and head over to the after party. Hope to see you there. Oh yeah, and if you enjoyed this, please click a like button thing, or leave a comment, or subscribe. That stuff apparently really matters. If I'm ever going to get rich on this YouTube thing, I need your help. And if you enjoyed this, just hit that little thumbs up icon. And thanks.